Continues with this topic, application of microeconomy of solving first source problems. We have already discussed the basic concept related to that, isn't it? Technical information has been explained to you. We've already discussed the methodology. We have discussed this scope and importance also. Scope is also going to highlight in the area that need to be addressed here, right? And then we have discussed this practical importance. We have discussed this also role in first source management, and we are discussing this on that particular day, the relevance, isn't it? Relevance of economic theory in forest resource management, right? So as I remember, we have already explained up to this point non-market valuation. Right? So we will start from this unit of measurement while valuing. Therefore, so from this part we will start the discussion and then we'll move ahead with this topic itself, right? So as I expect that slide is clearly shown to you on of your screen, isn't it? This slide is clear now. I hope the slide is clear to all of you on your screen, and up to this point, a bit of concept has been cleared in your mind. I think this kind of intention I have. Concept should be clear. So now we'll move ahead with this part, right? Since we have discussed the relevance of economic theory, it means whatever be the theory that is available there, or if we are talking about specifically the microecon theory related to the microeconomics. So what is the relevance? It means how you can use it, whether there is any utility of those theory in resource management or not. So we are discussing this point in that light here itself, right? So we have already explained you non-market valuation of the forest product. Okay, so just give you a brief brush up for this. Non-market valuation of forest product is required because there are lots of important product we are getting from the forest which has no market at all, but those kind of product is mandatory for survival of life. As I told you, soil erosion, control of soil erosion, water regulation, carbon sequestration, right? Wildlife protection, climate control. These are the other services, right? Which is not in a tangible form. It is not in. It means it's not in a physical form, right? But still, those services are very important as compared to the timber or some other extractable product that we are getting from the forest itself, right? And but we don't know what is the value. If we are getting the oxygen from a single tree, we don't know what is the value because there is no marketplace for that where we can get that kind of. That's why this non-market valuation has to be work. Non-market valuation means here we have to make a comparison with the available market with the same similar product. For example, as I told you, the one example nowadays, everything oxygen cylinder the people are looking for during this COVID pandemic, isn't it? But we are getting the oxygen free of course from the tree itself. So we can make a comparison to understand the non-market valuation here itself, right? So generally whatever the regulatory services that we are getting from the forest should have certain non-market valuation, right? Then after that, unit of measurement, obviously unit is required. Unit, you all know that while valuing the forest product, what the basic unit that need to be used, because generally if you have already studied in your biometry or the mensuration part that the volume when you're supposed to do any kind of trade related to the timber, so volume has to be calculated and the unit of volume is generally cubic feet, is general volume. So this kind of unit of measurement has to be devised, right? Whatever the product that is available there, and on the basis of that product we have to devise a certain unit of measurement, right? So that you can calculate the amount, and on the basis of that the trade can takes place, right? Then after that, the demand value of a particular forest product and services, that is also important, that the demand value of a particular forest product and services, right? Demand value means how the people or the person has to have a certain kind of conception related to the product, right? Then the demand can be generated. This is important. So on the basis of that, the value has to be put on the product itself. Listen carefully again. What is the demand value? Demand value means your willingness to consume some product, right? And if you are willing to consume some product, so obviously that product has certain kind of utility. So on the basis of your willingness and your affordability and also the kind of utility it has, certain kind of valuation has been done on that particular product itself. Have you get that? Again, I'm repeating the demand value. Okay, so when we talk about the demand, so there are two or three things that need to understand first. First, um, your willingness or your wants or your desire to consume something. Then your affordability. Obviously, you need to afford that. Then it become a demand. And third is the product have certain kind of utility to satisfy your desire, right? To meet your desire. So on the basis of that, demand value can be estimated. Is it clear? Have you get that? So from consumer side, it would be the demand value, and if you understand a similar thing from the producer side, we have a supply value. Have you get that? I hope this both the point is clear to all of you. Demand value and supply value. Good. Then after that, the next point is fixing the price of a particular forest product and services. It means the economic theory will provide you certain decision making tools to make a certain kind of policy, right? Policy has to be devised. On the basis of that policy, the price can be decided. Certain product, whatever the product we are getting or the services, what should be the price will be there. So for that there is certain kind of policies or the regulation has to be made, and how this policy has to be made. So that policy has to be made on the basis of economic theory, right? Certain economic principle has to be act there. We need to understand the demand channel, we need to understand the supply channel, we need to understand the availability of raw material, we need to understand the yeah, all this other kind of infrastructure that is required to produce any kind of product, right? So on the basis of all these uh, concept, certain rules and regulation can be framed, which is going to help to fix the price of any product, right? It means we should have certain logical base for fixing the price. No, we can't put the price arbitrarily. Any person can send the good at any cost, right? Then we have a theory of capital budgeting, then investment and interest, right? Capital budgeting, investment and interest, these things need to be understood here. Capital budgeting base, we need to understand here again. See, if we need to have a certain product, so we need to produce those things, and for production, right, we need a certain amount of money. So the capital means what? Those money which is supposed to come back to you in return as the money, that is capital. Try to understand that. Let me simplify you. See, if 100 rupees in your pocket, right, what you are doing, you can consume anything. 100 rupees is gone, nothing has to back. But if you're going to invest 100 rupees in certain kind of financial tools, or forget about financial tools again, if you are using that 100 rupees to produce something, right? So if a production has to be made, then you have to supply that product in the market, and in return again you'll get certain amount of money. It means your 100 rupees may be turned into 100, 110, 120, 130, something like that. So that is capital budgeting, right? We need to understand how much amount is required for starting any kind of activity. So now in terms of forestry, if you have to understand, suppose you are starting any kind of plantation, forestry kind of things, obviously you have to incur certain capital there, right? So when capital has to be there, so you have to make a proper framework, how much capital required and how the capital can be utilized or invested. That is invested, right? The capital can be utilized or invested, right? And interest means what? The return that you are getting, that is interest. So by understanding the whole economic theory, those kind of theories going to help you for this capital budgeting, investment and interest part also there, right? Then we need the risk and uncertainty. This is very much important if you talk about this forestry kind of thing. Risk and uncertainty of forest management, right? So through this economic theory you should also understand how to counter those risk and uncertainty. So we all understand it in the forestry field, right? Risk and uncertainty is has to be there because every day the climate has to change. Every day certain kind of insect attack will be there on your plantation, certain kind of disease will be there. So there is always a risk attached with this. And the why we talk the term uncertainty, because the gestation period is very long. That those things I've already explained you. If you are raising any kind of forestry crop, for just take example of simple, if you talk about the tree crop like poplar or eucalyptus, at least you have to wait 3 to 5 years, right? We're talking the years, not month, years. So if more time will be there, more gestation period will be there, or more maturity period will be there. So as the time moves, uncertainty has to be attached with that, and on the basis of the uncertainty you have a certain degree of risk. So by understanding the economic theory, uh, one should get uh, certain kind of tools or certain kind of calculation how to counter those risk or those uncertainty there, right? And then after that we have this economic base and importance of forest and forest based industry that I have already explained to you in the previous slide. Enough discussion has been made on this particular day. And forest land base is also I have explained how the allotment has to be made. This kind of explanation has been already discussed. So I'm not supposed to go in detail again in those things. So these are the basic relevance of economic theory. It means these are the area, or you can say that these are the issues related with the forest resource, right? And there is only one reason when lots of issues are related, because the forest has a multiple use, isn't it? So if a product has a multiple use, so you should have to set up a priority list. How you supposed to utilize that kind of resource here, isn't it? And if you are unable to understand in the technical way, let me give you again a very simple example of yours. As I told you, economics is a study of the human life also there, right? Your father is earning some amount, for X amount, isn't it? Now this X amount has a multiple use, isn't it? Multiple use. So on the priority basis, the parent has to decide which sector will get the amount in the first go, then second go, and third go, so that proper utilization of resource can be done there, and all these necessary sectors also get their due on time. So I hope now you get the concept here. Up to this point, everything is clear to all of you. So if any question, first you ask a question. Is there any question? Okay, so let's move to the next topic. Now I'll like to discuss this by discussing the general aspect of the whole economics. Now I like to discuss microeconomics, right? So that we can understand how to use this microeconomics to resolve the issue that we have discussed in some previous slides, right? But before that, just I like to give you one brush up concept of microeconomics, that despite you have already studied this microeconomics in your third semester of basic forestry and fifth semester of forest economics, but still let me give you some idea about this. So microeconomics, isn't it? The name is microeconomics. So economics, you understand that economics is the study of scarce resource, or the study of those resource which amount is limited and the resource may have multiple use there. Now the micro. So here micro, the meaning of micro is small, right? The meaning of this micro is small. So when you talk about this microeconomics, so basically microeconomics is
concerned on small economics. Have you get that? Micro means small, economics, that things has been already explained. So economics is related with certain resource, right? The resource is and the condition of the resource is limited. So microeconomics is basically concerned with the small economics. So what kind of small economics that has to be concerned with? So a small unit like individual customer, or you can say that individual firms or industry, anything. It means here we have to understand, or if you talk about in the terms of forestry, so basically we have to understand the uh, concept related to the individual tree, not a whole forest, right? So that is microeconomics. Again, let me explain you, and you can also see this definition on the slide itself. That is the study of individual and business organization makes use regarding the best use of the limited resource. So these two terms, the micro and economics, is the that is the meaning of that. As I explained you, economics has a relation with the limited resource, micro means small, so it is concerned with the small economic unit. And what the unit will be? Unit will be individual, customer, households, any firm, any industry. And if you talk about the terms of forestry, so individual tree, not a whole forest there, right? And then what the purpose of understanding microeconomics or to study microeconomics? So this is the basic objective related to that. It is going to explain the principles, problems, and policies related to the optimum allocation of resources. Right. First, you come to this one: optimum location of resource. Optimum is best possible use of resource has to be done there, and this is the only issue related with the forest, isn't it? Right. For is a lots of alternate uses. Now we have to consume that product. So optimum allocation. So how we can make certain arrangement to best possible use can be there, right? So through the microeconomics, we can understand the principles, problems, and policies related to this optimum allocation of resources, right? And get that principal, problems, and policies. It means if we have to make a certain optimum allocation of anything, so what the basic principles need to be followed, and when we are supposed to make any decision, so what the basic problem that we need to face. And after understanding this principle and problem, certain policy has to be designed to cater the need of whatever be the demand and supply is there, right? So this is the basic objective to understand the microeconomics, which is supposed to tell you how to use the available resource or the limited resource in the best possible manner, right? This is a simple brief, or you can say that explanation of microeconomics. So I hope you will understand that what is microeconomics, or is there any question related to that? Is it clear? The concept of microeconomics? Or is there any question? If you have any question, you can ask. Okay. So apart from this meaning, let me explain you some more related concept of the microeconomics, so that you can understand how to use it and why you're supposed to use that. Because this microeconomics is also going to explain you the how to determine the price of the product, right? This is the one of the help you are getting from the concept of microeconomics. So how to determine the price of product and factor inputs, not only the price of product but factor also. Factor, you all know that the factor of production, basically we're talking about this factor of production. Factor of production is land, labor, capital, and organization and knowledge. These are the five factor of production that one should have to understand here, right? So to understand the concept of microeconomics, we'll get certain idea to put the price of both the factor of production also there and the product
that is the result of those factor of production. So sometimes this microeconomics is also called price theory or demand and supply theory, right? So this kind of use microeconomics as, because on the basis of that we can understand how to use the microeconomics in real life or the issues that we have we are supposed to face to manage the forest as a resource, right? So this is the brief introduction of microeconomics, and these are the some principles related to microeconomics that has been utilized to sort out those basic issues that we have, uh, the issues that we have already explained to you there, isn't it? So these are the principles that has to be utilized there, right? What the first principle of microeconomics is? Scarcity. Scarcity, you all know the limited nature of the resource that is available there, right? So if you understand that the certain resource is limited, then we can devise a certain rules, certain policies, right? So to set the priority areas where the resource required most, and then we can distribute or we can allocate the resource accordingly. Then the next is economics. Economics, the another thing that we need to understand economics, it means how as a forest manager you are managing the limited resource that is available there, right? That is economics part is there. Then efficiency, another important thing is that efficiency means best possible use, that I have explained to you. Best possible use, or you can understand that getting the most of it from whatever is the limited resource we have. Then we have this equality part, right? Equality means uniformity, right? It means whatever be the priority sector or whatever be the stakeholder that is there who is supposed to claim on the forestry resource, right? You as a manager or as a student of economics, right? Uniformity has to be maintained so that distribution can be channelized. So uniform distribution among the multiple stakeholders has to be there itself. Then opportunity cost, that is very much important to understand opportunity cost, right? Opportunity cost means you have to lose one thing to get one thing, that is opportunity cost, right? It means whatever must be given up to obtain some item, isn't it? So now we understand the terms of forestry. For example, you are using uh, certain area of forest, so for getting timber, so if you are getting the timber, so you are losing the chance for getting the other kind of services from that stand, isn't that is opportunity cost. It means what you are supposed to give it so that you can obtain something here itself, right? So that is opportunity cost. Then you have a rational people, another important thing is there. Rational means as a manager you have to act systematically and purposefully, right? That is rational, right? Why the things systematically means you have to have certain logic, you can use certain scientific principles, you have a certain methodology that need to be methodology which is certain logic. It means you can explain, right? Rational people is that. So here we have to work systematically and purposefully, right? So that so that as a forest manager the objective can be achieved, right? And then you have marginal change. Marginal change means whatever the plan of action as a forest manager has been taken, whatever the plan of action, whatever the policies you are following, what the rules that you are framing. So marginal change means at least you have to have certain scope for small incremental adjustment, right? It means the rule should not be rigid, it must have a certain degree of flexibility so that you can accommodate any uncertainty. Have you get that? That is marginal change. So before moving further, is there any question up to this point? First you ask, then I'll move ahead. If any question up to this point. Up to this point, scarcity, economics, efficiency, equality, opportunity cost, rational people, marginal change. This some of the principles I have discussed with you. So now, if you have any question, you're free to ask. Okay, efficiency and opportunity cost. Okay, listen carefully. You can understand easily. First, efficiency, right? Efficiency means we can say in a very simple way, best possible use of resource that is available there, right? It means whatever is the limited resource we have, you have to get the most of it. That is efficiency. It means wastage should be minimized, losses should be curtailed down. That is efficiency. Whatever be the steps, or you have the formula, or you have the plan as a manager, or uh, or whatever be the as a personnel of forestry you are taking, that should have that kind of implementation, that you are able to get most of the resource that is available there, and you have to minimize the losses, first thing that, and you have to minimize the waste also there. That is efficiency, right? Now opportunity cost, right? Opportunity cost means to get one thing you have to lose something, right? That is opportunity cost, right? Let me explain you in a very simple way. Forget about the first of it. Again, if you have 100 rupees in your pocket, right? Now you are in the market and you have like three products A, B, C, and each product cost you 100. A, B, C, right? Three product, and you like all these three product, but you have only 100 rupees, and each product will cost you 100 rupees. So obviously, if you have to go, if you are availing A, you have to lose the satisfaction that is attached to the B and C, isn't it? Similarly, if you are using B, you are going to lose the utility of A and C. Similarly, if you are getting C, you have to lose this A and B here. That is opportunity cost, right? So here what you need to understand, okay, if we have a forest area, a certain patch you have felled for timber. So it means if you have felled this area for timber, so despite we are getting one product, but we are losing the other thing that we are able to get from that particular piece of stand, isn't it? For example, this stand for 100 is you have felled for getting timber, but you have lose what the 100 is can provide you some other services. For example, the oxygen. It's a simple thing. Oxygen 100 will provide the oxygen, and carbon sequestration process will be there. So if by getting one product you are losing the advantage of other services here itself, that is opportunity cost. It means whatever must be given up to obtain something. Is it clear now? Come on, bearing me. Okay, now any question from anyone? So let's start the incentives. Another thing is that incentive, right? Incentive means something that is going to encourage a person to act or to do something. That is incentive, isn't it? It may be cash, it may be kind, right? So incentive is there. That is also one of the principle to manage those forest, to manage the problem that is related to the forest. Let me give you a simple example for that. There is a forest fire, isn't it? Right? This is also one of the problem of forest resource. Now, how to control this forest fire? Do you think the forest department that much kind of infrastructure, or that much kind of that number of personnel to handle this? Obviously not. You need a help of local people or the tribal people, those who are residing inside the forest area, because they have very well known of all this area, isn't? But the question there, why those people are going to help you? They have a question, isn't it? So we have, so the department has to disperse certain kind of incentives. It may be cash, it may be kind, right? You may say that, okay, if you just give your service and will give you certain amount of money in return of service, people will come. If not cash, you can say that, okay, certain amount of resource that a person or that a whole village can get every week or every month from the forest without paying any cost, right? So this is the incentive, because these kind of activities going to induce the people a person to act here. That is incentive. Is it clear now? Then we have a market economy, right? Again, we have to understand this market economy. And again, important things that, right? So what does it mean? Right? It means market economy. First, what is the market? You all know that market is certain place where you can understand the interaction of all these consumers, buyer and sellers, or you can say the interaction of goods and services with the consumer that is available there. So this market economies basically provide you how to allocate those resources in a decentralized way. Decentralized way. That need to be understood, because market is one place where you have to sell the product and the things can be decentralized, right? If you look again for the Department of Forestry, if we all state has a forest department, isn't it? So if you people have looked there, generally the forest department has to make all this auction channel to sell out all this forestry product, right? So there is only one center for that, but here in market economy basically advocate the decentralization, right? You have to allocate the source through the decentralized decision. You have to allocate the source something like that, because in the market you'll get lots of participants. So you need to decentralize. It means you have to give certain rights to them also, right? You are not supposed to have or there should not be only one center for power. You have to divulge some of your rights or some of your authority to the lower level also there. That is market economy, right? Have you get that? Or if you try to understand the technical way, so you can say that it's market economy basically the market economy that is going to allocate the resource through the decentralized decision, right? This decision of many firms, or you can say that the many organization and the individual, because both the organization and individual has to interact in marketplace. Have you get that? Have you understand? Because if you have a marketplace, so lots of sellers will be there, lots of seller, and you are entering as an individual, so you have interaction, isn't it? So when the allocation has to be, certain rights, certain authority should be given to these firms too. Now we have this property rights. An important thing is that property rights. So property rights, so you can say that certain kind of lease has been issued, or certain kind of contract can be there. So you have to make an arrangement, so that as an individual you can exercise certain control over the scarce resource. Have you get that? Again, property rights, it means what? It means you are getting certain kind of authority or certain kind of rights. It may be permanent, it may be temporary, it may be casual, it may be, you can say that on the lease basis, maybe the contractual basis, right? But the purpose is there, as an individual you will get certain controlling power over these scarce resources. Is it clear? Then you have externality, which is market power is the market power. So now in this market power there, market power is basically related with the price determination of a product, right? Price determination of a product, and this is the single economic actor, right, which is going to decide the price of certain product, because market is certain kind of place where both buyer and seller has to interact each other, and see when the trade will take place, if both buyer and seller has to decide one single price on which both are agree, both buyers also agree, sellers also agree. So that's why this market is, you can say that it has the ability to become a single economy actor, to influence the market price, that is market power, right? Now, the externality. What is the meaning of externality? You people have already several times you have studied this. What externality means, right? Externality means, you can say that by action of one person, how the other person get influenced. That is externality, right? Or how the other person get affected. That is called externality. Let me simplify you. Just give a very simple example apart from the forestry. Uh, for example, your friend has a habit of smoking, and you most of the time your time passes with your friend. You are passing your time, and you are just with your friends. If your friend is going to do smoke, obviously you have also to suffer, and you become a passive smoker. That is called externality. Have you get that? It means impact of one person action on the well-being of other person or the bystander. That is called externality. Is it clear? So here we have to understand this factor also there. If by one action, what the consequence of that action to the other stakeholders there in the forestry resource which we have, right? That is external. Then the last is market failure. Market failure, it means we have to understand this condition also there. You can say that where the market is failed to allocate resource efficiently, right? That's called market failure. So these are the certain principles with relation with the microeconomics, right? So is there any question from this, all this from first to 10 12, whatever the number is there? Is there any question? Take your time, I'll give you 30 seconds, go through that if any question you have. Any question from anyone? Okay, then let me move ahead with this then. No question has been there. Now use and importance of microeconomics. Right? How we can use the principle has principle that I have explained to you. Now we have to understand this use or importance of microeconomics. Right? But still, if you have any question up to that point, you can ask. Okay, so no questions. So let me start the discussion on this point here. So now we need to understand the use or importance of microeconomics. How we can use it. So the first thing that we need to understand is efficient allocation of resources. Efficient allocation of resources. Right. So as I already explained you the meaning of efficient. Efficient means best possible use, isn't it? So if you're talking about this efficient allocation of resources, so here the two things that we have to we need to understand in from both the demand and supply side. For the demand side, maximizing the level of satisfaction, while from the supply side maximizing the output, right? So you just read the statement again. When to efficient allocation of resources, it means, see, in the economics both demand and supply has to work, right? Consumer has a demand, the producer has to supply. Now if as I told you, consumer has to demand certain product because of certain utility it has, and through that utility the consumer has to get a certain level of satisfaction, right? And as a consumer you are getting satisfaction, but now from the production side, those who are supposed to produce, when the producer will get satisfied, if he or she will get, able to get maximum revenue from the product that has been manufactured in the firm or organization. So here we can use the principles of economics, right, for allocation of all these necessary resources where both the things can be balanced. It means from the consumer side, level of satisfaction has to be maximized, and for the producer side, the revenue or the output should be maximized here. So this use of microeconomics has to be there, and is totally based upon the concept of marginal utility. You have already studied that marginal utility, so I'm not supposed to get in detail. So on the basis of those marginal utility, this efficient allocation of resource um, can be done there, right? So this is the first use of uh, microeconomics, efficient allocation of resource. It means resource can be used in the best possible manner. So if as a consumer, if you are consuming certain products, what the best possible manner, it means you are getting fully satisfaction from that particular product, right? And as a producer, if you are acting, again, you whatever the raw material you are getting, you are using that raw material in a very optimum way, and so that you can have a certain finished product, and that finished product should give you maximum revenue as per your effort or as per your production level, right? So this is the efficient allocation of resources here. Now should move to this to understand the working of market economy, right? To understand the working of market economy. So now you try to understand what does it mean here. Fine. So how to understand that? So here we are several times are discussing about the demand and supply, right? So if you talk about this demand and supply, so this is the only factor that is responsible for any kind of uh, you can say that any kind of economic decisions, you can say that, or economic variable, right? And there is no role of government in this, despite government have a certain rules and regulation has to be framed, but still that only this demand and supply are responsible for any kind of price change, any kind of uh, supply facility that has to be there. So to understand the working economy, if you have to get the understanding of microeconomics, you are able to understand the working of market economy there, because demand and supply is also one of the important principle of this microeconomics. And there are certain law of demand and law of supply. You have already studied that. What the law of demand say that if price will be more, demand will be less, and vice versa. Similarly, the supply is there. If price will be more, supply will be more, right? And vice versa, right? So through this law, what the basic understanding has to be developed here. It means only this demand and supply is going have a certain say in decision making, rather than the government or whatever the other market forces that is available there itself. So by understanding this microeconomics, you are also able to understand the working of market economy, right? And what the basic advantage you will get, that we will be able to understand how an economy uh, will run without the role of government, without the role of government there, right? So this is the understanding of market economy. And then to provide the tools for economic policy, obviously this microeconomics is very helpful in the formation of economic policy, and basically those economic policy which is relation to the welfare of society. Welfare, you all know that the level of happiness. So how the society can become happiness or happy, so this microeconomic will provide you certain information, certain what certain theories, certain principles, right? And it become a very helpful to formulate economic policy there itself. Or you can, it means policy, if you talk about the policies or policy related with taxation, you say that, right, those who are in government sector or those who are the taxpayers, right, they are very much interested to listen the budget, what the budget, because the budget, the economic policy has to discuss about the taxes, or if talk about the loans or the price and demand and production, all those things. This kind of policy has to be developed by understanding the microeconomics and the related principle of microeconomics there. And the best thing is that this economy is not only going to help the government sector, but also is supposed to use, it can be used in private sector also, so that both the sector can get best use of limited resource that is available there, right? Now, to examine the condition of social and economic welfare, right. So through this microeconomics, or by using of microeconomics, right, there's lots of suggestion that can be given, or that can be put forward to improve the welfare of people, right, welfare of people, that can be discussed over here. And also it is going to help to avoid any kind of waste. So if waste can be minimized, so by minimizing the waste, you can bring more social welfare here itself, right? Yeah. So it means through this, or you can understand the rules of those micro economics are going to suggest you certain ways or certain means to eliminating wastages, in order to bring maximum social welfare, right? So through this, we are able to sort out this kind of issues also there. Now, helpful international trade, that you people can easily understand that how the international trade has to be taken place. So there is one thing that the cost advantage. That is the thing that has been realized. It means there is two product X, and the two countries are there, and both have to produce X and X. So which is a cost advantage, the trade can be takes place, right? If you have to incur more and more investment to just draw this X, better you buy that X from there itself. So that is international trade. So economy, microeconomy is going to help you to understand all those possibilities there also, isn't it? Because if we have to sustain and if you have to grow, obviously international trade has to be there. So international, so I'll give you the basic concept how the international trade has to take place. So because of this cost advantage, right? And then rather than producing those things, if in a production, if you have to incur more cost, and if you are getting into the things from other place in a very less cost, so better you get that product rather than doing on your own. So trade will takes place immediately, right? And then useful in business decision making, that is important. And this is the part that also we can use very much in forestry, because if you talk about the plantation forestry, or even the natural forest that is available there, so obviously if the timber trade used to be there, so business, a certain kind of business already there, isn't it? So this microeconomic principle also will helpful in this business decision making, right? It means what? It means through this you are able to attain a maximum production by the given amount of resource that is available there, right? And what kind of decision making where it is supposed to help you? So pricing policy, right? Pricing policy, it means through the microeconomics you are able to understand the basic economic policy that is there. And then you have to also understand the condition of demand, supply, and the consumer behavior, because uh, all these things, demand, supply, or consumer behavior, is the main variable, you can say that, for price determination, isn't it? So on the basis of that, if you are doing any kind of business, or if you are a forest manager and you have to sell out certain forest product, so on the basis of or to analyze the condition of this, again, demand, supply, then consumer behavior, you can fix certain price there, which is one of the issue in the forestry sector itself, right? Then you have a optimum allocation of resources. There's another decision making things there, right? It means what? It means this microeconomic principle is going to help you to determine what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. This is very important, right? Again, I'm repeating: optimum allocation of resources means what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. And this statement is very much familiar in the policy sector also there. First one is what to produce. It means what kind of species that need to be selected. Then how to produce, so whatever the propagation method that you are taking, and for whom, why we are producing those things, who is your target consumer there, right? So this microeconomics is going to help you in this decision making also. Then we have this optimal production decision, right? So before taking this, because you all know that production rate certain factor of production, right? As I told you, we need land, labor, capital, and but we should also understand that since all these are resources are limited, whether it is a land is limited. If you talk about the capital, obviously you don't have an infinite amount of money, so capital is also limited. If you talk about the labor, obviously labor is also limited there. So this microeconomics will provide you certain tool for taking some managerial decision to find certain solution of this kind of problem. And if you have get certain solution, then on the basis of that solution you are able to maximize the output of your production process, right? Then demand analysis and forecasting, another important things there, that is also right, because if you have to manage any design, as I told you, optimal allocation in, I have discussed with you what to produce, when to produce, to whom. So if you talk about this what to whom, then demand analysis and forecasting is important there. It means here we need to identify or we need to analyze, right, what the market demand or what the market needs or wants, isn't it? So on the basis of that, the forecasting can be made, right? Okay, what will be the future demand of that particular product? So if you get that kind of insight or that kind of analysis, then as a forest manager, you are able to expand the market and you can raise the return also here itself. Then the last is analysis of cost of production. Obviously, uh, cost of production is important, and here you have to analyze the different type of cost, for example factor cost, and what will be the other subsidiary cost that is available there, so that you are able to minimize the cost of production. It means losses should be minimized, wastage should be minimized here, right? So these are the importance of and use of forestry, and we can apply all these things to sort out those issues whatever be in the forestry. So this is all about for this application of microeconomic principle in forestry related problems, right? So if any question you people have, you can